Mr. Chair, and I guess I would associate myself with the comments of the ranking member, and I do appreciate that he talked about how this is less than 2 pages, just a little less than 2 pages, but it spends $28 million, and we don't know what it's going to do. And I mean, and Chairwoman, you gave a list of kind of things that it's going to be spent on, but that's not in the bill. And I guess I have a little bit of a little cynical thinking that if we don't say it, we don't know if it's going to happen. And I don't believe in just spending $28 million on a hope and a prayer that they're going to be able to solve this, because we give them no structure on how to solve this problem. And Chairwoman, you said we got to get product on the shelf. I don't see that. It doesn't say that we're going to get product on the shelf. You know, and I think ranking member also talked about, you know, how the you mentioned that they caused the problem, and now we're giving them more money.
No,
And
they
I
didn't
see
cause the problem.
or they were added to the
laboratories
issues,
caused
added to the issues. But all I see that this for an additional amount for salaries and expenses. That's the only information in here. And I was just kind of curious, do we have any clue as to how many FTEs we're going to be adding to the federal government with this bill?
No,
Okay.
no, I work with them to do that, and that's why we want to report. That's why we built in a reporting mechanism so that they can't just go off and do whatever they want, and that we have the ability to make sure that they are adhering to you know, to what was laid out.
Well, and with all due respect, it makes more sense to lay it out in the legislation that we're putting into law when we're talking about $28 million. When we're talking about $1 million, we should know where that
that's
money's going.
right,
When we're talking about 28, we should know where every dime is going to. But
But
I have
let
real
me-
concern.
If I just might say, the funds can only be used for FDA-regulated infant formula. They can't be used for anything else.
And
It's about
ma'am,
the shortage.
reclaiming my time, where does,
Oh, I'm sorry.
can you give me the exact point where that is in the bill?
I
I mean,
think,
it's only 2 pages.
We're not talking about spending a lot of time. In other words, there are things that should be in this bill to say, we take this very seriously. Here's what you should be doing, here's what you should be doing
It's here.
now. And certainly not trying to slow anything up, but you don't get a lot of times where you can say, okay, we're going to come back in a year and do this.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of situation. So we really need to take the time and do it right and be very specific in this. They obviously did not do what they should be doing, and so that's why we are where we are.
it's laid out on the first page here. I mean,
What's the line?
it doesn't, it says, for an additional amount, there shall be available to address the current shortage of FDA
Oh,
regulated.
okay.
But it provided, that is about the report, and also provided the amount is designated by the Congress as being for an emergency according to various sections of the code. Anyway,
But we have no way of how that's going to happen. This appropriates the money, and it tells them, you know, generally where it's going to go, but it does not. And so I have real concerns. And then another question was, is this even going to, is there any talk about in the Senate? Is what's going to happen? I mean, we're talking about a serious issue. I mean, we are talking about baby formula. I have a granddaughter who just turned 1, so, you know, that's, she just got off of formula not that long ago. But I guess I don't see where this actually addresses the issue and gets those babies taken care of. If that's, and ma'am, you were very, very passionate, but I don't think the passion is reflected in this bill, where we really are going to be doing something for these children to get them formula. And like I said,
it's hard to put passion
in the
into
Senate.
legalese, but
Well, but if you
anyway,
do
I
these
understand
things-
what you're saying.
But
I
all of the
understand
things
what
you
you're
said
saying.
about getting product on the shelf,
I
doing,
understand
making sure.
what you're saying.
But it just doesn't reflect in here, and it's a lot of money, and I don't think it's going to address the issue like we want it to, and get the formula on the shelves. And is there any indication of what the Senate's going to do?
I've talked to the Senate. If I were to tell you, sit here and tell you that I can predict what the Senate does, you know, you'd say, she doesn't belong here. So
Okay,
I
no,
don't
and
know what the
I
Senate
appreciate,
does.
no, I appreciate that.
I don't
but
know
I
what
was
They
just-
are aware. Everyone's aware of this.
Right, and everybody
I have
wants-
two staffers that have very young children, and we went through this morning about what do you do now, you know? And it's a very serious situation.
But, and I understand, like I said, a very serious situation, but this, we haven't, I mean, if we don't know what the Senate's going to do, they haven't agreed or even, and I recognize that the Senate's its own deal over there, but if they would recognize that this is the answer to the issue.
I hope
and
they will.
I
I
doubt
hope they will. We're in conversation with the Senate, as we were in conversation with our Republican colleagues. So, I mean, the conversations are on. We're not just doing this in the dead of night. It's, you know, so, but I understand. the
I mean, I
concerns.
have grave
Sure.
concerns about, you know, getting that formula out to the kids. And I wish there was more to this bill that would actually do that, because this spends $28 million and isn't going to do a thing for getting that formula.
Well,
back on the
I
shelf.
disagree with that, but you're
And with
entitled to your
that,
view.
Mr. Chair, I yield back.